was the real regime almost.
Oh, hell no.
They're talking about me.
All I needed was one ball.
The science of training.
And I know you don't think it's a sport. What's up, Mike?
What's up, stud?
How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing good, my man. It's always good to see you.
I always look forward to our conversations, man.
Well, you're a research genius when it comes to this stuff. You've done your diligence on the world of health and fitness and bodybuilding, man. So big props.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Most don't. Most just kind of go into it.
Well, gotta try to do your best, I guess.
You've had a good. You've been okay with the year?
Yeah, man. just staying in there and working hard. A lot of people actually started working harder in the pandemic.
They had to adapt and get smarter and think, how can we make this? How can I survive during this craziness?
Exactly.
So I like that. I like that we had to get forced to do something like that and go outside of our comfort zone.
Got it. Well, first of all, how you been? And how was because last time I came to your house, that was right before the pandemic. We were shooting film and then we had a sit down interview. And then like a couple of months later, like maybe like 3 or 4 months later, the pandemic hit and everything got shut down. So how was that time for you when it all happened?
I'm okay. The family's okay. Obviously with the newborn, it was actually, in one sense, it was pretty cool to be able to be with my son, my newborn, so much and be at those moments. So that was a plus. And then I love the fact that I had to think outside the box to continue forward. Mostly because all the movies got shut down and especially out here in California. California is even harsher than anywhere else, I think, with the shutdown, lockdowns, and people's personalities and stuff when it comes to this whole COVID thing. So it was tough out here, but we survived.
By the way, I also want to ask you, did having a son, did it affect you in any way, change you? A lot of people have different experiences when they have kids, They say the whole life changes. Was that the same for you?
Tremendous. The typical stuff, you got to start thinking about the future more so than just yourself. Because I've always been a future guy. I've always been lifting and going, hey, how can I continue to do this? How can I do this over 4 decades? How can I do that? And now it's, well, how can I tussle with my son in 20 years and give him somebody to beat down in a sense, and how can I continue forward in that sense? And how can I set him up to win in the future? And so it changes my whole mindset of not just what can we do in the future, but how can I set him up to be something and carry on? So in those aspects, it changed it quite a bit. And so it gave me even more motivation, which just keeps coming. As I think you're the same as me. We get more focused in a narrower road in a sense that our focus, we don't get distracted as much as we get older. And so I think that's a great point of it too. I know what I need to take care of. I know what I have to do and what wastes my time.
Last time we sat down, you told me your schedule, right? Which was pretty crazy. I mean, for me, it was pretty crazy. You wake up at 4 a.m., I believe, right? Go to the gym. The whole day is just so, planned out. Go to sleep early. It was just like, is it the same now? Did you adjust anything? And did it change?
We adjusted it. I've been lucky in a sense that I've been able to have my gyms. And so in some sense, that's worked out great for us. But I also got to do this. Being one of the top 5 guys in the world, being requested for guest postings, that had me crazy the last 7 years. And so the one thing it would allow me to do is that those got all canceled. So I wasn't traveling every single weekend. And so as you and I talk about nutrition and training and stuff, and me staying in a deficit all year long to stay on stage and look good, that's destructive to the body. And so I got to go off season. I got to kick back and almost in a sense, fix whatever little owies or injuries I had and allow me to just go off season and go a surplus of calories. So it was a huge benefit. And so my schedule wasn't as crazy. It wasn't 4 a.m. Because we were training mostly at the house here with that gym that you saw. And
it's a great gym.
5 or 6, but the days I imagine just like you, we can fill our day up with work. And one in me is 7 days a week. So it's one of those things that it's not, oh, hey, Sunday, we get to relax today. We're still working.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I did some research, right? And a lot of the very successful people in the world, they follow that method, waking up super early, like 4, 5, kind of handling a lot of the tasks before everybody else wakes up. Is that kind of like, did you structure your mindset based on that? Or was it just was natural to you to do that?
I didn't structure it that way until I was 20 and I learned about all these individuals. And then I go, holy sheesh, I've been doing this the last 11 years. And then at 20, I realized, by 17, I was in the magazines like we talked about. And so it's like, I'm doing something here that is setting me up to win. And then I looked at all these other individuals. And I think as you grow and you continue to level up and you're more around people that are successful, and then a different level of success, and a different level of success, you find out these little traits that all these individuals have. And you kind of go, wow, they're very similar when it breaks down to small little minute things like just getting up early. And so I continued that 100%, just because it's 2 reasons. One is I love the fact that I feel like the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith and his dog. I get up at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and it's just me and my dog, and we're heading off to the gym, and there's nobody awake. But I also feel like I'm getting a kickstart on everybody else. We all got 24 hours. We all got 7 days a week. And I remember that I think it was Trump that talked about this. And he said, if you want to be successful, it's not 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is the average, right? It's usually paycheck to paycheck. You want to, I loved how his approach was, we have weekends. So that gives me another week over anybody else because we work Saturday and Sunday. So you start adding all these things up and you start adding up hours that you get up relative to when you go to bed or your work. It's a crazy, it was some crazy number, like you get 2 more months a year of where you can work on success relative to the individual that always takes the Friday, Saturday, Sunday off kind of thing, or weekends and vacations and all that. And we love what we do. So it's not like it's work. So we're okay doing that. And it gives us so much more time. So early in the morning, and we love working. So
I have a question about that. So how do you not burn out with that? Because it's almost like a robot. You wake, like you follow such a regimen, you count the hours that you work. I mean, how do you not burn out? I understand somebody can do that for a year, let's say, right?
yeah.
How do you, you've been doing it your whole life. Like, how do you, how do you still continue even to be motivated to do that every day?
I figured out it was 42 years now. I've been doing it at 4 in the morning, and lifting. 42 years, and people are like, how do you do that? And I saw somebody talk about it, and it's such a true point. You don't get burned out by doing something you love. You get burned out by doing things that don't give you passion. Everything we do and everything I've done in my lifetime, I didn't cut corners in the sense it wasn't no give and take. It was like, this is how I kind of want to set my life up. This is what I like. This is fun for me. This is passionate for me. I'm going to do everything I can to stay with that and do those kind of things. And so it's I never got burnt out from it. The only thing I do get is like this last year is by having to be in a deficit, I had to feed my body correctly. So I always say, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm one of the most requested guys to guest post. That puts me in a situation to where I always have to, mostly for me, I want to come into guest pose in shape. I don't want to be an off-season guest poser. And that's why I keep getting booked and booked. But at the same time, that's hurtful to the body. So this last year really helped me be able to take my physique to a whole new level. And now that we start guest posing here in a couple of weeks, it's exciting to be able to reveal. Actually, I put on muscle, a lot of muscle this last year. And so I get to go guest pose again. It's like, it gave me more passion, more oomph. So yeah, I don't burn out because it's fun. It's fun.
So about sleep, right? So obviously, according to doctors, right, humans supposed to sleep like, 8 hours a day, right? That's what they recommend. Now I heard Steve Harvey, right? He made a speech and he was like, if you sleep 8 hours a day, then you can't be successful as an entrepreneur, as entertainer. It's just impossible. Then I heard somebody else, some other speeches basically promoting sleep. They're like, no, you have to sleep. You should get as much sleep as possible. that way you're more attentive, more productive in your business and in the gym and whatever. You know what I'm saying? What is your take on sleep? What do you think? 8 hours or 9
I think 7.5 hours is the doctor requirement to try to get your body recovered, muscle recovery, brain function, all those kind of things. I agree with it. I think that kind of sleep is good. I do get to bed pretty early though. So I'm pretty good. I shut it off at 8 o'clock. I'm done. And then I'm up at 3 in the morning. So I get a good 7 hours or so sleep.
You believe in sleep. You like sleep. You think it's good for you.
I think it's 100% good for you. I really do. And it's a crazy thing. Like if I'm working with somebody on nutrition and I can have them on a great nutrition plan, a great training plan, everything's perfect. Everything's perfect except their sleep. All I do is change their sleep and their body changes. So sleep's, yeah, you can't. And also remember, sleep is going to keep you youthful. There's a grind to that. You start skipping sleep, but you got to schedule it in like anything else. I shut off the TV and go to bed and shut off my mind at 8 o'clock. I'm done. And I had a friend come over. He's funny. This guy's coming over. We're going to do this huge lecture this next day. And he just gets over there like around 7:40 and to the house. And he talks about this when he went on stage because it was like, all right, you're here. All right, take care. I'm going to bed. It's schedule. You schedule it, you schedule. I'm not staying up and talking and partying with him. I'll see him the next day on the schedule. So that's how I'm pretty regimented that way.
So what about like, do you meditate? Do you do any type of like mental exercises or breathing exercises?
I do. If you ever seen me work out, that's my meditation. It's a calming battle, almost like a peaceful warrior in a sense. I love going under the weights, and I can turn it on and turn it off, a switch. Being an athlete my whole life, gladiators until mid-40s, it's one of those things from young teenager, not even teen, prepubescent, doing martial arts and competing to now. I can get under the weight and shut off everybody else outside of it without music and still be in my head listening to what the voices are saying. And so that's my meditation. And I actually love that meditation. I love the battle of the weights and getting into that fight. Relative to, I ask my training partners not to cheer for, you know how, come on, let's go. And say nothing. I want nothing. I'll get this myself. And that's just me in my head. And it's a very important thing. So if you can't meditate while you work out, get some kind of medication or alone time to where you can veg and just kind of prioritize what's important, clean out the mind, get rid of the negative, put some positive in there.
Have you ever dealt with anxiety? Like it seems like you know, this is your kind of meditation. The gym kind of clears everything for you, right? But you know, one of the biggest questions we get a lot of emails about it, people dealing with a lot of anxiety right now, especially right now. But I mean, I think it's always been the case. You know what I mean? Like people deal with negative thoughts, anxiety, financial problems, kind of builds up. So that's why some people can't even go to sleep at night, like just the way you do. You know what I mean? Have you ever dealt with anxiety or just for the mind that's been like, or even depression in your whole life? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, I got pretty depressed when I lost my mom. I lost my dad prior to that, but I tried to do the tough guy thing. That's life. My dad passed, move on kind of thing. And then I lost my mom, and all the emotions of not dealing with losing my dad and losing my mom crushed me, physically crushed me. And I was in a bad relationship at the time as well. And so it was just all the mixture of these things. And I dropped, complete depression. The only thing, and I think it was because it was such a habit for me, the only thing I was doing outside of feeling sorry for myself and angry and depressed and mad at the world that I lost both parents, and is that I kept training and eating right. And that was just because of out of habit of doing it for 30 years. So it was one of those things. And I also learned at that point, which was late in my life, I didn't really learn about the point of it's about you making yourself happy. You cannot depend on somebody else. If you're depending on somebody else to make you happy, There's some issues that need to be dealt with. And you got to be able to be alone in a sense and be happy with being alone. Because being alone doesn't mean you're alone. You can be alone with a group of 10 people because you're dealing with stuff. And so it was one of those things that I finally dealt with issues for myself at that time when I lost my mom. And then I pulled myself out of that depression with time. And I really understood this, which I hope everybody out there listens to this. Don't rush it. Don't do this stupid thing that I did with my dad going, hey, that's life. Oh, well, it is what it is. I hate that saying. It is what it is. No, it's my dad. He's a superhero. I should have let it out. I should have talked, or I should have been emotional about it. And then when my mom did it, I'm glad I did it. And I'm also glad that I didn't depend on anybody else to come out of that. For me, I'm glad I didn't. I'm not saying that for anybody else. If you're dealing with depression, talk to somebody, have somebody there for you. But I'm glad I did it with myself because I needed to at that point when I was getting up in age. And then I didn't deal with that aloneness or anything like that. And so that was one of the biggest things that I think with anybody right now going through depression or going through with anything, talk to somebody. Don't do this whole I'm a tough guy kind of thing. I don't need to talk about it.
Well, you part of the industry, Mike, that's actually very kind of like a macho driven industry, right? I mean, you're looking at muscles, right? It creates a tough exterior, right? Even in somebody like you, people don't expect you to be vulnerable. So maybe it's tougher for, people in the fitness industry in general to actually open up about being.
I think it is in front of the curtain, but behind the curtain, I got the most sincere, kind-hearted people you will ever meet. One of my people that I talk to is like Ed Cohen, the greatest power lifter in history. Him and I, when we talk, we just talked about us losing our pup. He lost his pup and I lost my dog. And everything stemmed off of that. And it's he's he's the GOAT. So he's the most macho guy there is. And it's like behind the curtain, these guys they got the two levels. We're not this, we're not in the middle. We're either extremists or we're upset down here. And so it's cool to be able to know that we can turn on the switch and be animals, but it's also nice to know that we can come down to the other side and be below that peaceful warrior mentality of if they're talking smack, you don't need to do anything because you can crush them attitude, I guess. So I think with health and fitness, I think when you're coming up and you're a youngster, that whole ego thing is really played. I'm a guy, I'm strong, I'm tough, I don't cry, I don't do anything, I don't talk about this. So, yeah.
You mentioned how regimented you are, right, with your schedule. I mean, I know you work like 24/7, I get that, but do you ever have a leisure time where you just go out to like, just have a cheap meal and like maybe have some alcohol or something like that? Like people want to know about that, like this Mike.
Yeah, no, I started too young. I can't comprehend alcohol. Never had it.
Never had alcohol.
Never, no, because remember, again, 8, 9 years old. So I never went that route. And I also, because I grew up with dyslexia, the one big thing about reading and writing is that it's the imbalance. So I had to watch and listen. And I had to watch and listen to a better cue than the next person because I knew I wasn't going to be able to read the stuff. I couldn't spell it out for you. So I had to pay attention, and that transferred to everything. So I watched all 9 brothers and sisters lift, do martial arts, but drink, take steroids, do all these things. What was the benefit of all this stuff? What was the downside of all this stuff? I watched it from that young age. And so it was one of those things that I go, okay, this is not good. The drinking, it didn't do anything for them. And it allowed me to catch my older brother because we'd lift, we'd eat, we'd train, but then he'd go party and I would stay to the plan. And so it just over time, I just never picked it up. And then you get out of junior high school and high school and college and you never drank. For me, there was no picking it up at that point. I was already
too late to start, right?
Yes. I got lucky in that sense. Here's the one thing, because people ask me, and you're right. I think these are the little things that people need. They ask, they go, hey, what do you do when all your buddies are pressuring you to drink? Don't drink. For me, it's as simple as that. we're not in high school no more. It's not one of those things where you're out to dinner and they're like, hey, let's make sure we have ice cream and cookies and all this stuff. It's like, no, I'm just gonna have my steak and salad. I'm good.
So you mentioned your brothers took steroids and you witnessed that?
Sisters too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, no. My sister, won Miss Washington, Miss Seattle, took 4th of North American. My brother won Mr. Washington. Powerlifting, our whole family did it. So, because my mom was a martial artist, my dad did bodybuilding and football. We all were athletes and we all did it. The only difference was they were older than me. And so I got to watch the benefits. And so I got to watch and as a boy, you always want to beat your older brother. Well, I had 4 older brothers. I had 4 older brothers that all bodybuilded, played football, wrestled, martial art. And so I'm trying to kick all their asses in time. And so I was watching what they did that worked and what they did that didn't work. And so.
You saw side effects that you didn't like?
Yeah, I did. I was getting ready for Teenage Washington. Teenage Nationals. It was 1987. It was in the lineup was Gerard Dente in the heavyweights with me. Chris Cormier was
Gerard from MHP, the guy that owns MHP.
Yeah. Chris Cormier was a light heavyweight. Other guys were there too. Aaron Eckenrode, these young kids that were the names of the industry. And so I was getting ready for this, and it was the first time they had Teenage Nationals in Washington. So I'm getting ready, and it's about 2 weeks out. So everybody's telling me, you're not going to win this show. You can't compete against these kids. These kids are, whatever. They're doing stuff. And I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to compete. Now, to set the story up, it's the visual thing. If you're around yourself every day, you don't see yourself change much, or your significant other change much. So I'm living at home, obviously, and I got my sister there, who was this long blonde-haired bodybuilder, very sleek physique that won Miss Seattle, Miss Washington. So the problem was that I would see these people every single day. And one day she cut that long blonde hair and dyed it black and short. Now I'm in the gym. It's about a week out from the show. I look over and I thought I see a teenager that I'm going to compete against. He's got traps up to the ears, these 26-inch legs. I'm like, holy sheesh, that's a big kid. Turns it around and it's my sister. I didn't even realize, looking at this, the transformation she made by getting on it. So we can all agree steroids are an amazing thing, but we can all agree that it changes you dramatically. And so without me even seeing this or the day-to-day thing, that shocked me till today. The transformation from this beautiful girl, blonde, long hair, it's almost like visual twin, and to this champion bodybuilder, but at the same time, it just changed her completely. And so I was like, that's extreme. And so by watching that, or watching my older brother get better than me, and then me close the gap. He gets better than me, then gets off it. And I keep closing the gap. I'm the tortoise, moving real slow. But each jump he does, I'm closing in. Because on steroids, as well as I do, you gain, you can't keep. It loses. Then you go back, and then you go back. And so the slow ride for me seemed like it was the smartest thing for me. And so watching them, alcohol, drugs, anything like that, I stayed regimen.
Maybe just because, it's being reported, but it seems like there's been a lot of deaths in bodybuilding.
Wow.
2020, even this year, guys die like in their 50s, late 40s. I don't want to mention any names,
One of them was just a couple of them were my friends and stuff. So yeah.
Do you think obviously it's different things, but do you think, if you think bodybuilders, should be in a healthy side, obviously, even though it's an extreme sport, I get that. But do you think it's anything to do with a lifestyle at all, or is it just a coincidence?
I think it's a harsh reality. The ultimate goal for all of us is to be as healthy as we possibly can. That's the ultimate goal. But the other side of the desire to be the greatest, It's pretty powerful. And so a lot of these guys, the power to be the greatest makes you do stuff that you probably don't want to do. And as you and I know, because we're behind the curtain, we talk to a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys aren't happy having to do what they have to do. But to be the greatest, you kind of have to go down that road for a lot of people. And so, yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's a lot of abuse. And I think anything like that is, to that extreme, it's risky. But again, I'm not one to judge anything. Whatever you want to do, that's the funny thing. Somebody commented the other day and goes, how are you friends with, I forgot who I was with. It wasn't Rich, because I was an old one, but it was somebody else that does stuff, chemicals. And they go, how can you be friends with them? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, he does steroids. And you go, you don't. I've never claimed anything about disliking people or saying don't do it. I've never said anything like that. In 40 years of being in the magazine since 1987, there's not one article of me downgrading somebody for doing something. Whatever you want to do is great with you. It doesn't interfere with my life. I'm not gonna chalk it up to he's better than me because of that. I'll keep competing. I'll keep doing my thing. And so
yeah, I think people misunderstand you sometimes. You never preached anything to anyone. Like, I've never heard you in any interview say that this is the way to go. You always just talk about your personal choice. I never, you know what I mean? Like, I think people just, I think in today's world of social media, just everybody wants to hear what they want to hear, but they don't actually hear what you're saying. You know what I mean?
You know,
not everyone, just some people.
1987's first article. Still have articles today, 2021. You know how many articles were talked about being natural? One. It's not me that talks about it. It's society. Just because I got drug tested my whole career and I did all that, they talk about it. It's like, I don't know. It's a personal choice. I'll hang out with anybody. Everybody knows that Rich talked about it all the time. One of my dearest friends in the world. It's like, what, you're not going to hang out with somebody because they have some beers on the weekend? Of course you are. That doesn't change you, man. Don't be an idiot. But again, you're right. I think you're 100% right. They want to believe what they want to believe, or they want to read one sentence. My social media team's here, and they'll put out a video, and people will just grab on to what they want to hear about the video. It's like I talk about cardiovascular is a secondary thing, because cardiovascular is not as good for the heart as weight-bearing weightlifting. Weightlifting is incredibly great for the heart. And if you're on a good nutrition plan, you don't have to do hours of cardio. And so I talked about that. I said, save cardio for, like, if you're getting ready for a show, save cardio if you need to get in shape, but don't get your body so absorbed to doing a half an hour a day all year long, because then you're just beating your body down. Now, this isn't an argument. This isn't somebody who can debate me on. This is just a fact. What you don't want to do is train every single day. The ultimate goal here would be to train 3 days a week and have a healthy body and eat right, correct?
Sure.
Because if you train every day, you're breaking down your body. Your body can only take so much. But now people will grab that and go, Mike said no cardio. It's like, you know what? You want to go do cardio? Go do cardio. Come back in 5 years when you're softer, skinnier, fatter, and you got bad knees and elbows and shoulders. It's like they take what they want to take and then they run with it, which is a scary thing.
Yeah, it is.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When I first came up in the 80s, not a lot of information because there wasn't social media, you know, there wasn't internet, you know, so I learned from the guys I was around, which was lucky enough to be the greatest powerlifters in the world. But with that being said, it seems as though people really tried to understand and dissect what weightlifting was like. And then in the 80s and 90s, we were pretty healthy. Society was healthy. They were making movies about staying alive and being health and fitness and yoga and jazzercise and all that. Why was so much more information today? Is society getting dumber about health and fitness instead of smarter? Or do you think they're not on a majority?
I don't know, Mike. I think there's just honestly, it's just a lot of information. And sometimes it's about, filtering the information, you know what I mean? And I think people sometimes don't know how to filter their information. So whether you see a video on YouTube about how to train properly, there's thousands of videos how to train properly, you know what I'm saying? And they have to decide who to listen to at the end of the day, you know what I mean? What's credibility, you know?
It seems as though, like we said, is anybody can be a social media star without doing any work in the trenches. It's scary because those are also the guys that are given the information. And so it's one of those things. It's like, I wish people would realize it's much simpler than what they think it is. They think it's this trick, oh, no, you know something I don't know. That's why you've been able to stay in shape for your whole life. It's like, I mean, like I just did a talk with Victor Martinez, and he says, first thing I'm going to say is throw out the idea that there's a magic pill or some kind of trick. It's just consistency of doing the best you can.
True. I want to ask you, you're talking about cardio and cardiovascular health, right? So I was talking to a doctor recently, right? He was telling me that, okay, so I want to get your opinion on this, right?
Yes.
He's a doctor, but obviously doctors, when they talk about lifting and this and that, they talk
Was he a
about,
cardiologist or a heart surgeon, or what was it?
It was a cardiologist. Yeah, I was talking to a cardiologist. And he was telling me that, okay, two things. Heavy lifting over a period of time, long period of time is not great for you, for your heart. He said that because actually the heart can actually grow also, like just like a muscle can grow, you know what I mean? And second thing is, it's also not good for your blood pressure. He told me a lot of bodybuilders that deal with blood pressure issues. Have you heard that before? And have you dealt with blood pressure issues over the course of your career or any type of heart problems?
I haven't. And I got a phone yesterday with an interview with a cardiologist, one of the biggest heart surgeons out of Tennessee. One thing he talked about was the aspect of weightlifting was good for you. And the reason why that is because when your heart gets older and older as you get older, it's the problem of pumping. And they figured now with all the studies is that the pumping is coming from weight-bearing cardio would help it pump better than cardiovascular. Than basic cardiovascular in the sense of going out and jogging a marathon. And then you go back and forth. Well, you talked to a cardiologist and I did. He says it's not good for you. My guy said it was great for you. So then I kind of analyze it and go, some of the guys that I know from the old days, Steve Davis, and these other guys from Golds that, 75, 80 years old, they're moving better than everybody else in that age. They're healthy at that age. Is there an abuse to it? Yeah, I think so. And I think, like anything, it's an abuse. But then you also look at the other side and you see marathon runners drop dead from heart attacks at 35 and 40 years old. Wait a minute, this guy, he's running marathons. Why is he dropping dead? So I think life is one of those things that it's just, some people are prone to it and some people aren't. George Burns lives until what? Drinking alcohol, smoking cigars, and having parties. So 100 and something, and we know other guys, you and I do, in their late 20s, mid 30s, dying of heart attacks.
What about blood pressure? Your blood pressure was great your whole life.
My blood pressure, yeah, I'm extremely healthy, and we just did a video on that. So in our family, I lost my dad from prostate cancer and stuff, and we just went and got tested and did the whole thing and everything. I'm a healthy cat. But I think that I do the least amount of work in the gym, but still get better. So I stay on a diet that I can stay with all year. I do cardio periods of time to get sliced and then back off. So I'm not destroying the body. Like, as well as I do, most people go in there and just go crazy. 2-3 hours of training. They're doing everything. They're loading up so many calories. They're doing all this stuff over an extreme. And so it's a hard judgment to go, wait a minute, the marathon runner dies and then we got pro bodybuilders dying. So I don't know who's right. All I do know is this, for me and everybody I've worked with around the world, the least amount of work, but still get better. Does that make sense to you? It's not about going in there and being a beast. Like we go back to the guy being tough because his dad died. I'm tough. I don't have to do it. I work out 3 hours a day. It's not tough. That's dumb. Go in, do the work you need to do, get better, and get the heck out.
Work smarter, basically, right?
So that's how my approach has always been. So I see these guys and these mid 40-year-old guys now that are talking about health and fitness and what to do. And I can see the chip on their shoulder because they never became a successful bodybuilder. They never got, magazines and guest posts. They didn't get all that stuff. So I see them very angry, but I also see their bodies deteriorating and getting smaller. But these are the guys that are out there giving lectures about how to do health and fitness. And that makes me ill compared to like somebody like Stan Efferdin, who's still healthy as can be. These guys that are doing it and doing it right relative to these other guys that are doing it wrong. It's a tough world we live in with social media because you get both sides of it. And it goes back to what you said. Who do you listen to? And I don't think society is in the position. It's not as easy. If you look at a billionaire, he's done it, right? Good job. He's great. In health and fitness, they look at these guys that did it 10, 15, 20 years ago. And there's a picture of them 20 years ago, and they're on stage and they're a shadow of themselves. And they're talking about how to do it. But the kids don't look at that and go, well, wait a minute. I'm missing one thing. I get it, he was good. Why isn't he good? Because I think most people want longevity now. Or at least the people in my world does.
Which one person do you think influenced you the most in the fitness industry?
I think it was like Arnold and Bruce Lee from outside sources that pushed me. Because as soon as I looked at the magazines and watched Bruce Lee and Arnold, I was like, I'm done. But I think the closest people to me was people like Jeff Magruder, which most of your listeners won't know, but he was the first guy to bench 605 at 242. And he was my coach when I was 11, 12, 13. So that whole crew of the Magruders, I think, influenced me to believe that I was different than everybody else and love that. Not want to fit in, but want to fit that lone wolf, that outside cast. Those guys influenced me in that sense.
Well, I'm guessing you like Bruce Lee and Arnold for not just for their fitness accomplishments, right? But the entertainment component, right? That's probably
It has nothing to do with Bruce Lee's martial arts skills, and it has nothing to do with Arnold's bodybuilding. I know that I've said this before, but Arnold impressed me because of who he was, and Bruce Lee is the same thing. Lee comes from, China and does what he does in America, but he did it because of his mindset. Yes, he was great at martial arts, but he also changed martial arts. And he changed it when he's in his early mid 20s. Imagine that, change something that was so old, and this one young stud, changed it all. And then just what he did. And then Arnold's personality. To walk through the gym, everybody else is angry because they're dieting, and he's laughing and smiling. I mean, it just tells you that's a different breed. Why are you happy and everybody else is miserable? Everybody's dieting. Yeah, this is fun. I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I get to do this. And I think that's where it changes everything. I get to go train every day. That's pretty badass. Not that I have to train.
How do you feel about this? It's a completely different, we're going a different direction here, but how do you feel about the Logan Paul fight with Mayweather? Because it's like, a lot of people are complaining about it because they're saying it's the value of boxing, but it's actually very entertaining to a certain degree, right? How do you feel about it?
I think I go back to the aspect that it's entertaining. It's entertaining. That's what society wants to see. For me, I won't watch it or nothing, but I understand the concept of it. I understand that it's entertaining and people want to see it and stuff. I said this to some old time bodybuilders that don't have a big following on social media. They're like, I won the titles, I won all this, and I don't get the respect I deserve. And it's like, it's the world, it changes. You got to keep adapting. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving with it. It's a personality. Bruce Lee and Arnold made it because of their personalities. If they were boring cardboard, they wouldn't have made it, regardless regardless of what their talents were. And I think the same thing with Paul Logan gets, or I think that's his name, right?
Logan Paul, yeah.
He gets under people's skin, and people want to see him get his ass kicked, and he markets it. It's like social media guys that do the natty or not. They're nobody, but they can at least put videos out of somebody and get people to go and jump in on it, so it makes them famous in a sense. So it's the same. Anything you can trigger to get society to follow you, it works. What do you think of the fights?
Well, I mean, you know, it's clearly going to be Mayweather who's going to win, but I think the point is there's always the element of what if, you know what I mean? What if he catches him with some crazy shot, you know what I mean? Or plus maybe people just want to see, you know, Logan Paul get beat up, like you said. I think that's probably a big portion of the people that want to see that. You know
I know that for me and the people around me, they just want to see him get his ass kicked.
Right.
And he's smart, and he's okay with that he knows a big majority. I don't know who said it, but they said, love me or hate me, I'm getting paid. I don't know if it was Conor McGregor or Mayweather or somebody, but they said they love me or they hate me, I'm still getting paid. That's what that Logan Paul guy is doing, and he's doing it great. I mean, I think we'd like to see Mayweather fight both brothers.
Yeah. I think the biggest concern is what's happening with the sport, you know? Like you often hear, like people always say it's bad for the sport, it's bad for this. You hear it in bodybuilding too. Like people said, like, you know, you mentioned Rich Piana. People used to say he's bad for bodybuilding, you know? Like a lot of pro bodybuilders behind the scenes would say he's terrible for bodybuilding, right? Like, because he's not a pro, but he's more popular than the pros. And it's almost like becomes a situation where you're taking the big spotlight away from the guys that are on the stage competing. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think it's right or wrong to that, right? Like, ultimately, it's the audience decides what's in demand, right? And that's a supply and demand situation.
Yeah. How many great actors knew martial arts and made it famous off of that? They weren't great actors, but they were great martial artists, so they could do it. So in this sense, it's personality over physique. He had a great personality. People loved him. And so, yeah, he makes it big. And I can understand them saying, well, yeah, but it makes us look bad. And it's one of those things that we're trying to hold on to the old days, and it's changing quick. It's changing so quick. And so I understand boxing in the sense how they may feel like it's dropping it, but these guys are making more money and more pay-per-views than the champion boxers. So I don't know how that comes into play. It's, you know, makes the most for a college. It's the guy's football team. So if you can make something big, I guess is what the society is all about now.
Right. Well, how do you feel about the pro bodybuilding right now? And, you know, Big Ramy winning Olympia. What do you think is gonna, like, do you think it's gonna take, you know, in the direction of mass monsters again? Or do you, like, how do you see the future of the Olympia going?
I think he looked great though. So I know mass monsters, but I think he had shape too. I think he looked great. And he's such a kind soul. You know, skip being a kind person. I can just stand around him and you can just feel he means well in life. And so I like the aspect that he got his. But that whole top class, you know, all those guys, I love all those guys. They're good people. They're good representation for bodybuilding. I think that the other sides, that their society's more. I don't know if the numbers show it, but it seems as though society really loves the classic more so than the main class, I guess. What do you find?
It's definitely very popular, the classic, but I think Men's Open still generates the most views when it comes to the ratings, you know, just because it's the, you know,
The
it's
freaks.
it's the ultimate factor.
Yeah.
You know? So, which personally, I never saw a problem with that. You know, a lot of people complain about the aesthetics, but I feel like, you know, you want to see, you know, a spectacle of some sort, you know, so you seeing that, you know what I mean?
But yeah, man, my first Olympia back in the days, it's like seeing Lee Haney, you know, come in and do what he did, being the first really big guy with shape. was like, I guess that's that same discussion now. But that was over 25, 30 years ago. So I'm okay with it going the way it's going. I love muscle. So obviously superheroes, those guys look like superheroes to me. So I love it. I love that they're monsters in that sense. And then at the same time, I'm cool with they got classic now and everything else. And then the girls are coming back. I'm actually going out next week to have dinner with Jack Wood. So I'm excited to find out what's the future for this whole thing.
You know, speaking of superheroes, I don't know if you heard Chris Hemsworth, the Thor, you know, the actor. He made some comments recently saying that because of his physique and his love for muscles, just like you know, he's not, you know, being respected as much as a serious actor because he likes bodybuilding. It was a big headline actually. It was like I think a couple of weeks ago. It made the news. What do you think about that statement? And do you think Hollywood embraces muscles? Because you in Hollywood also, you know, you do roles.
Yeah. That's a shame because I've seen him do other things and he's great in it. I think it's just the individual feels like maybe he's not being taken serious for, because I know he's such a good looking guy and he's an Australian. So I've never met an Australian I don't like. They're all guys, you know, they're fun to hang out with. And so, yeah, it's a tough one because the world of acting in movies and acting, you got stars and then you got actors. Actors are very protective of their craft, where stars, I mean, they just jump past everybody, and he's a star. So I could see anybody that's a star that the acting community will say, well, you know, I just saw something similar to that in the sense of not being taken serious is somebody just talked about, what is it? Chris Evans didn't act until the fourth or the final Avengers. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, no, this first three, he was just kind of like just good looking and all this and that. He wasn't taken serious for it. And then it was finally the fourth one, he really dug into his depth. And I'm like, okay, I think that's just one of those things when it comes to Chris is maybe feeling a little bit like he's a superstar and he's overcasted he's not getting the respect from the actors, which is probably just like health and fitness. You know, the bodybuilders feel maybe they don't get respected by the classic guys and vice versa or something. But
so what advice would you give to the guys right now? How to make money in bodybuilding, how to succeed in the fitness industry, how to really, even not being rich, but just being stable. You know what I mean? Like, what's the right moves to make?
Do not be an echo. Do not be an echo is the first thing. Do not mimic somebody. First off, you're going to make money for a short period of time until everybody kind of goes, dude, you're repetitive. You just say the same thing that this guy says, that this guy says, that this guy says. You got no mind of your own. Then I also just 100% give the bird to everybody and be you. Honestly, be you. Because the one thing that I see is these guys that really don't care about anything else are so free to do whatever they want and they make it big. It's the guys that are going back to the whole, I'm just going to put down, I bench press a lot, and then that's all they do. Where's your personality? Where's the other gimmicks? Who are you? So I would make sure just to say, just put down what you want to put down. Be organic. Let it grow it yourself. Don't fight to get famous. Just be you, and it'll happen. The mimics and the people that are echoes, short-lived.
But back in the day, right, there was a plan, right? You become a bodybuilder, you get a contract from a supplement company, and you get a contract from the magazine, right? And then you basically set, and then you go to do shows, you sell photographs at the expos, right? That was kind of like it was like a plan, right?
No, in our day, we had to win. We had to first fight to win. So you win a show, then you get looked at. Now that's completely gone. You don't have to win nothing anymore. You just got to be a good looking guy with abs or a girl with a nice butt and boom, the companies are loving you. So it took out one aspect of the grind. And so I don't know how much more you need to develop as a person because you never went through the grind. Yeah, in the old days, you win a show, win a powerlifting meet, whatever it is, get on TV because you're a good actor or something. And then you get the endorsement, and then you're intelligent enough to write articles for the magazines, be on the covers, and then blah, blah, blah. And today I think it is start your social media pages, start your YouTube channel, use all that free. And if you're not on all of it, it's free. Why wouldn't you be? It doesn't make any sense. But get yourself out there, get yourself viewed and seen. Because it's the people with the biggest followings the companies look at and go, they have a big following. For that is the show now.
The measuring, right? But that's actually, Mike, that's actually, I mean, I'm not saying it's a harder grind, but that's a grind. Like, to build a YouTube channel is difficult. Like, you're competing with literally billions of people.
That's why I say, don't be an echo. Don't, whatever you got that's different than everybody else. Don't repeat hey, this is how you do a crunch. We know how to do a crunch. You know, you got to be, and here's the other thing. Here's the harsh truth. Not everybody's going to make it. Not everybody's going to be a celebrity. So, you know, be smart enough to have some income as you're building that. It didn't matter that I got a contract with Weider and got flown down here and put up by them, the Muscle and Fitness. It didn't matter. I still worked. I still right to personal training at Gold's Gym Venice. I started doing the stuff. I started grinding. And everything I made from contracts, from TV shows, from Gladiators and Death Becomes Her and all these movies and stuff, I put away. I put away for the future. Never touched it. The only thing I would spend would be the money that I'd make personal training. And so it's work your ass off, continue to try to do the habit or the passion that you love. And that's what they talk about. They talk about, like, you've got to get a couple of years of doing the hard labor. And that hard labor is whatever it is, the personal training, the car wash, the garbage man, whatever it is, as you're chasing the dream.
How did you build that business sense? Because when I think of you, right, I always think of obviously, you know, a fitness persona, but I really think of you as an entrepreneur in the fitness industry.
Well, I think because, you know, like the back stuff, the commercial real estate buildings and all these.
Right. How did you build that business sense? How did you develop it?
I come from a family of 10, and my dad was an educated man. My mom both graduated from University of Washington. So I watched them both work raising 10 kids. You know, people today, we got one kid, and, you know, it's like, I can't fathom what it's like raising 10 kids. But I learned that the importance of money, which saved me in my early years. Because remember, all these guys that I came up with, think about that, late 80s, early 90s, you could name 20 guys that are famous today. I put everything away, knowing that this is not a 9-to-5. I don't got a 401k. This is on me. I put it away. And then as time went and I continued to learn, I learned that real estate from Arnold was the first thing. He said, you want to make it? Start buying. And I'm like, all right, okay, this is what has to happen, because that will always go up. So that's how I started early on business-wise. And then I just kept that quiet on the outside and kept building that and putting everything away. The great thing is that I'm not flashy. I don't need the Mercedes. I don't need the McLaren. I don't need the, you know, $10 million house. I love the fact that I know that I get to lift every single day. As crazy as that sounds, I do. That's all I want to do, is lift my life away in that sense. And now I just want to be able to tussle with Titan in 20 years.
Well, that's a good feeling to have, where you can do basically whatever you decide to do.
True success, freedom. That's true success. And I know that I guess is what we're talking about is the upcoming or bringing up or moving forward on how to set the future up for these kids that are out there. Work your ass off, put it away. The partying that comes and goes, go chase it.
It's hard though, because we live in the age of social media, right? Where every day on social media, on your feed, you're seeing wealth, whether it's real or not, but you're seeing images of wealth, right? That's projected in cars, houses, and jewelry, right? You see that's all day, right? So, you know, people chase that and they want to aspire to be like that. You know what I mean?
Never compare yourself to others, for you will become vain and bitter.
That should be like a sign.
It's a poem I read when I was 12.
No.
And it's true. If you start going, hey, he's got a McLaren, that's what I need to get. I got to get this. And that's why I go back to the point of the guy saying, hey, tell everybody off and do you. I don't need, I obviously I'm at this stage in life where I can say, when you're out, all your boys are drinking and they say, hey, you drink. I'm at that age where I go, yeah, no. But I understand that a 20-year-old, that pressure might get to him, or the girlfriend wants to say, hey, let's go get ice cream. And you're like, well, I'm getting ready for a show. I never went the other route because I always had the dream. And I think it was Jordan Peterson talked about in your 20s, kick ass and save the money. Because by 30, and he talked about this, he said, you should have $100,000 by the time you're 30, which is low, I think, but you should be saving money and working your ass off in your 20s when you're young and vibrant, and you can get away with 4 or 5 hours of sleep, so you set yourself up for the future. And I think what you said was pressure gets to these kids.
Absolutely.
Back to know who you are. And then that takes us full circle to the part of where I didn't deal with my loneliness or being alone until I lost my mom. And so it's like these kids right now, if they're listening to this, if they take anything away from this, skip not doing cardio, skip, whatever this is, or with your boys, deal with the fact of that you can be alone and be your own man or woman and decide what you really want, and don't get peer pressured from what social media shows you, or you'd be chasing a nasty ghost.
I definitely agree with you, Mike. It's just, I feel like people have a hard time, really following those words, because it's just, we live in a real world, and it's crazy out there.
What would you tell them? What would you tell them about peer pressure?
I would tell them the same exact thing as you. I just feel like sometimes people have to, make own mistakes and kind of learn from it and rebound from it. You know what I mean? I think that's what happens to a lot of the kids now, or just younger generation, in general.
Can I ask how old you are now?
38.
Is there anything that you wish you didn't have wasted your time with in your
Absolutely.
20s?
Of course. Of course. Absolutely.
And if I could say that to anybody out there, there's a lot of wasted time in your late teens, 20s doing silly stuff. And if I could get those moments back, it's like we always say when you get older and older, it's like, man, if I knew now at that age, I'd rule the world. And it's really true. All those cliches that the elders would tell us, all those things were true. It's like, don't waste that time when you're your late teens, early 20s. Kick ass, stay true to the business. If your friends are out partying, let them party. You go do your thing. They'll come around later when you freaking be in success. They'll be like, geez, how'd you do it? What do you mean? I stayed to the path.
It's very common nowadays to say things like, get rid of people that don't help you, right? Like, just get rid of the people just using you or kind of with you, but not really contributing to your success. Have you ever had to do that in your life where, like, you were successful, but you had either family members or friends that weren't really, benefiting you? You get to get rid of them in order to move forward. Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah, I didn't do it a lot when I was young. I wish I did. I wish I did that. I wish I cut people off quicker.
It's tough to do. I'm sure it's very tough to, difficult to do that.
Yeah, and I've seen youngsters now do it, and I'm like, you're going to be a success. When I see a youngster do that now and go, these people are bad, I'm going to go down the wrong road. I'm going to focus over here. And I'm like, this kid's got potential. Because that's the cool thing about being at Gold's, is that I see these youngsters coming up and I'm like, this kid will make it. This kid will be gone in a year. It's a crazy thing. I've seen the next great Arnold every single year. Somebody comes from somewhere and he's got all the potential in the world. Everything, charisma, looks, body, everything. And you can just instantly see it's not going to last. Too distracted by all these other things instead of focused on his goal and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I wish the young me or you guys out there, get rid of the ones that are pulling you down. here's the great thing about that though, and something I didn't understand until later on in life. You can get rid of them. Doesn't mean they can't come back. They just can't come back until they straighten up, until they're on the same path as you. So you're not getting rid of them, You're just getting rid of them going, I need to do this. I need to go to college. I need to go get my education. I got to go do this work. I got to do 9 to 5. I can't skip out on this. In that sense. And this guy goes, no. I'm just going to play around and chase tail. You know, so move away from them. Let them catch you back up. That's a tough thing. But it's easy for me now at this stage when people are like, okay, you're just playing. You're just a talker, and then move on.
Yeah, that's smart. Definitely smart advice. So what are you working on right now, Mike? What's the next big thing that you have coming out? I know you have improved physique that you're gonna debut soon, right?
I am. When's my I'm guest posing for Mr. Mississippi. We got another guest posing here at the Ropa here, me and Phil Heath. So we got some good guest posings coming up. But I'm really excited. We just finished. Let's see, I got a movie that's coming out called The Manson Brothers, where I play a complete twisted savage. All the characters are pretty twisted savages. I got another movie I just finished called The Seven Deadly Sins, where I play a anime character called Escanor. And he is, again, bigger than life. And then we just got back from Louisiana. We were filming out there for a movie called The Book of Cain. And so I actually play a god in this one. And it was great filming. It was all night shoots. It's very gritty and dark. And the coolest thing about this is I'm a complete savage in the movie. Complete savage. But I get to do this one scene, which is very similar to Arnold's Terminator scene, where I walk through this bar and stuff. You'll see it's
naked. You're walking naked through the bar.
I'm walking straight naked through the bar, straight up. What's up? But it's cool because I want to put it next to like Arnold's, thing, because it's very epic in the way they shot it as beastie. And this guy's a complete savage. This character. And it was great too, because this character was the hardest character I've ever had to play. I had to have a Russian accent. So I was in a speech class with that. Then they had me in classes. So for hours and hours and hours. So all of this though is great, but we're all leading up to the one thing that we're getting ready for is the TV series that we've been working on for the last year now.
That's awesome, man. Hey, what do you think about this idea? I wanted to ask you, how the Logan Paul and Mayweather do an exhibition match? What about a bodybuilding pay-per-view exhibition match? Like somebody like you, or you specifically, against another bodybuilder on stage, but actual pose off, and maybe the audience can decide who wins, but an exhibition match. It's not going to be on the record, you know what I mean? What do you think about that? You think that would do well?
I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant because two aspects. One is because I was already asked to do a martial MMA fight.
Oh, really?
Against a celebrity. So that was pretty cool. I like the idea of this too, because of the aspect that bodybuilding to me is a sport. And so it really doesn't matter who the other guy is. It's of how people view what is better. Because you see pictures of Frank Zane standing next to Arnold. And again, I'm a 270-pound guy. So, again, all these guys, I think it's a brilliant idea, but I'd be curious on who it'd be up next to. I'd love that.
It's going to be a good matchup,
Classic, because I can't get down to that weight for classic for my height. So.
Yeah. But that'd be cool, man. Maybe like Victor Martinez can do that against somebody too. That'd be pretty cool. Like Victor Martinez and Jay Cutler. That'd be nice.
That's pretty smart. Yeah. Two good guys too.
Yeah.
Coming out of it, but that's a good idea.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. All right, Mike. Last question I want to ask you. What's the right approach to deal with haters online? Is it just to block them, to respond? How would you do it? What kind of advice would you give how to deal with it?
There's two aspects to this, or three. I do agree with the echo. The common sense is that nobody above you trolls you. And so, yeah, that's who you want to talk to. So for those kids out there that are getting trolled and stuff, don't worry about that. The people that are below you are trying to get followers, and that's why they're poking at you, or they just want to see you react. Don't worry about that. And then also remember, if somebody's trolling you or hating on you, for it to absolutely hurt you or make you want to respond, you have to respect the person. I don't know if that's different for other people. Somebody can say, hey, you're a tool. Great. Two pictures. Obviously, you live in your mom's basement. I don't care. There's a lot of trolls that come after me, but they're like complete losers that are trying to make themselves famous off of my name. And just keep that in mind. Keep in mind that there's just nobodies and stuff. So just keep in mind that that's what they are. So you keep working on who you are, and just block them. Social media isn't a freedom of speech. You know what I mean? It's because people go, hey, are you going to block me? Sure, blocked. It's like, this is not a debate, guys. It's like, I like my social media. These are my friends and titans around the world. I'm not going to have a whole bunch of trolls in there. So I block for the minute things. Like, hey, what song is that? You're an idiot. It says it right above it. It's like, you're blocked. How tall? You can't Google that. You're blocked. So I block for minute things. And these guys are great. My team's great. They just block. So keep it clean. Keep your page as clean as possible too. And I know a lot of people like the banter. I just block it and move on. And again, it goes back to having a kid. Focus on what you need to focus on. Don't get distracted by these tools that are nobody, that are trying to make their name off of you. Good question. What do? Do you get haters?
Yeah, I guess the team blocks them, I guess. I'm not sure. What's interesting? So we actually, like maybe a few years ago, we would allow any type of comment to go through, like on YouTube or something like that, right? And then somebody showed me some comments, and they were just so vile, borderline, like it was racist, basically. You know what I mean? So our board had to make a decision, like if it's something that racist or something that crazy, then you have to block a person. But yeah. But you know what the funniest thing is? Like sometimes you see a comment, and it's like the most disgusting comment you ever see in your life. Then you go to their page, and it's like a guy with a baby. He says "God first."
Yeah.
In their
my
bio.
gosh.
What?
You just hit it out of the park.
That's crazy. How can somebody like that make a comment like that? That's crazy.
I get those kind of comments. I get the ugly ones. Hey, I hope your wife and your kid gets hit by a car. And you look at their page and you're like, God first, from kindness. And it's like, holy shit. You know what else? It really does make you how the majority of society thinks. When you see these comments about the hater comments, because you just, wow, the way you guys think, I can't even comprehend how you got there. It's like if there's something about health and fitness and you want to argue with me, there's no argument, because you're not arguing me. You're arguing me. You're arguing Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, Robbie Robinson, Frank Zane. You're arguing everybody that I've learned from on something. And I've been doing this for 40 years, and I've been able to do something nobody else has been able to do. On stage in the early 80s, still on stage in 2021. On stage, not relevant, but on stage. So you're not going to really argue with me about health and fitness, what to do about cardio, how you eat and stuff. So it's odd that you get these guys that are like skinny, fat guys going, hey, that's wrong. Shh. This isn't a debate, son. Sit down. We'll block you. But yeah, it's just block. You're always fun to talk to, brother.
Always great talking to you, Mike. Thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure, man. And I can't wait to see you in person, man.
I'm gonna be out there soon. You're still there, right?
Of course, yeah. Come by anytime.
Gonna come by. Bug the heck out of you guys.
Let's do it, man. Thank you so much.
Let's put a workout in.
Let's do it. Actually, we got a gym opened close by. We should go there.
Okay.
It's a private training facility for Generation Iron, so we should definitely do like something over there.
We're gonna make you pop the top. You know, we're gonna pose it down for the fans and have them vote.
Oh man, all right. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, man. Always good. Bye, bye.
Take care, man. Be safe.